This short video is a summary of a presentation that I've given many times around the subject of images of resilience. It helps you to explore what resilience is and what resilience looks like. My name's Robin Hills. I'm an emotional intelligence coach, trainer and facilitator working with EI for Change, a company specialising in emotional intelligence. You can see from my logo, I'm very fortunate in having two concrete nouns for a name which lend themselves to a logo. However, people see it in different ways. You respond and make choices based not on absolute reality, but according to how you perceive the world. Everything you experience, your knowledge, your understanding, your involvement, your exposure, your memories, etc., is a figure of your imagination. Although what you sense is accurate and truthful, your internal representation of it is not necessarily the physical reality of the outside world. Perception depends on complex functions of the nervous system, but subjectively seems most effortless because this processing happens outside conscious awareness. This internal representation is all you know. By the time you become aware of information coming through from the world around you, it's been filtered. The world you perceive is not reality. It's a filtered representation of reality. It's interesting how many people see this logo developed around my name and interpret it in a different way to that intended. Even my company logo is open to misinterpretation. People who work with numbers, banks, insurance companies, the tax office, accountants, etc. often refer to the company as E14 change. Emotional intelligence is not something they're very familiar with. Are you worn out from dealing with reduced resources, conflicting demands and relentless change? If you're angry, how do you react? Are you controlled and rational, or do you say the first thing that comes to mind? How do you react to pressure? How do you manage stressful situations? How do you manage your emotional responses to events? How do others influence the way you react to certain events? How do you cope as you sink in the quicksand of modern life filled with televisions and phones and social media and shopping and emails and advertisements and noise and traffic and the internet and remembering what you may have forgotten? Are you working with others who are struggling to maintain their own resilience? Have you ever wondered why some people appear to remain calm in the face of disaster while others fail to cope? Everyone has to cope with the stresses and strains of everyday life. Your resilience is affected by the way you react to stressful situations. Different people react to different situations in different ways. Coping is adapting your thinking and behaviour to manage demands that exceed resources available to you or demands that you find taxing. Resilience is the ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. Resilience is an internal drive that relates critically to how you calmly engage with your environment. So, being resilient is more than just coping. It's about learning through the experience to grow personally and become stronger to deal with adversity better as you encounter it. Challenges and changes are constant. Some of these involve taking some degree of risk, while some may be crises or emergencies that demand your immediate attention. Adverse situations may be familiar or unfamiliar to you, depending upon whether you've experienced them before or whether you've experienced circumstances that may be similar. You will have developed coping mechanisms, and these will help you in dealing with familiar adverse situations and many unfamiliar ones. The self-talk, your inner voice, that you use in these situations will drive your thinking and your feelings, leading to decisions that you make and your subsequent actions and behaviour. Your emotional intelligence is a function of how you combine your thinking with your feelings to make good authentic decisions and consequently how you act and behave. All of this will add to your life's experiences and will underpin your resilience. Coping strategies can be classified as appraisal or adaptive focus strategies that assist with personal modifications around thinking, such as challenging behaviour to work with the problem. Problem-focused strategies are directed and work to eliminate the problem or the stressor through logical analysis. Emotion-focused strategies directed at changing one's own emotional reaction to the problem or stressor. These will vary according to the social context and or how a person's personality traits are expressed. This is the traditional view of resilience, the ability to bounce back. But what about too little resilience and too much resilience? These levels of resilience are often not considered, they're overlooked or ignored. Too little or no resilience is represented by the squonk, a mythological creature that, under pressure, cries itself into a pool of tears. People with too much resilience can be more challenging to work with, as those with low levels of resilience. Too much resilience can be seen at the board level in many organisations and within senior management teams. By driving through what they want and adapting too quickly to changing situations, they appear not to care about others' feelings. They can appear to be too emotionally controlled and demonstrate too much resilience, especially in relation to the emotion of others. By not comprehending the anxieties of others and by not understanding their inability to respond in the same way, shows a lack of empathy, a degree of selfishness and a perceived lack of caring. The idea of resilience originates from material science, where it describes the property of material to resume its original shape after distortion or stress. Resilience is in fact a metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that describes a subject by comparing it to and describing it in terms of another, otherwise unrelated topic. Metaphors can represent experience more fully than abstract concepts and so enable more effective communication. Metaphors condense information, making things more tangible and easier to work with. A metaphor for an experience has a similar structure to the experience it represents. In material science, resilience is the ability of a material to absorb energy when it's deformed elastically and release that energy upon unloading. Proof resilience is defined as the maximum energy that can be absorbed up to the elastic limit without creating permanent distortion. The modulus of resilience is defined as the maximum energy that can be absorbed without creating a permanent distortion. It can be calculated by integrating the stress-strain curve from zero to the elastic limit. Resilience as a metaphor in the context of human psychology and behaviour works, but the metaphor has serious limitations. What about too much resilience? What about learning, growing and developing through stress? What about adapting to situations and environments? In these instances, the metaphor doesn't work so well. If you have good levels of resilience, you possess three defining characteristics. Recovery to adverse conditions is possible with one or two of these qualities, but to be truly resilient, you need to develop all three. An ability to accept harsh reality, to take an objective view of the situation without subjective views, denial or emotion. There are a few small type connections to resilience and they may surprise you. Type data are clear that no type or set preferences is more linked to understanding reality or optimism than any other. This ability in resilience is therefore type neutral. An ability to find meaning in adversity, to build bridges from an ordeal in the present to a fuller, better future. While people often assume that those with a J preference strive more often or effectively towards goals, data do not support that. Type data are clear that no type or set preference is more linked to finding meaning than any other. This ability in resilience, therefore, is type neutral. An ability to continually improvise, to put resources to unfamiliar uses and imagining possibilities that others don't see. While people assume that those with an intuitive preference are more creative and can put resources to unfamiliar uses, data do not support that. This ability, therefore, is type neutral. Some researchers believe that individuals have a resilience profile within their personality, evidenced in the way their personality traits are expressed. These traits naturally equip them to cope with situations effectively and can be measured by using well-constructed, highly valid and reliable psychometrics. Some questionnaires are designed to look at an individual's ability to cope with pressures and stresses and demands, etc., and using these, it's possible to have some measure of resilience. A 360-degree assessment can help identify an individual's ability to deal with different aspects relating to resilience at work. They can help with development and growth and can be applied across whole organizations. Windle, Bennett and Noyes in 2011 conducted a meta-analysis of 19 resilience measures reported as reliable and valid. They concluded that there's no gold standard measure of resilience. A number of interesting scales are in the early stages of development, however, they all require further validation work. It can be helpful to use context, references and past experiences as a measure which can give deep awareness leading to insights and long-term learning, which grows resilience, particularly when supported by the right level of coaching support. Within organizations, executive coaching is a good intervention that can be deployed to support the development of resilience. Your resilience is tied up in the interactions between your behavior and your environment. You can't control your environment, so your environment impacts upon you in a way that drives your reaction and the way that you behave. Resilience is about finding meaning in your environment and using your core values to interpret and shape events. Resilience can be very context-specific, and to address this, there is a tool developed by EI for Change which can help. Images of Resilience is a coaching tool that contains multiple copies of 18 carefully designed images drawn in an attractive cartoon style. The images represent metaphors depicting a range of experiences and emotions linked with the theme of resilience. All 18 images in the Images of Resilience toolbox are drawn in a style that people at all levels in organizations find appealing and can immediately relate to. Using the images depicted, they describe their experiences through their own metaphors, their own understanding and their own meaning. The images facilitate the exploration of different facets of resilience and its connections with stress, change, challenge, and the potential for learning. The dialogue that opens might otherwise be too risky or challenging to be tackled directly. Questions can be introduced that allows for exploration of meaning, promoting discussion around how strategies can be developed to build resilience and ways to cope with stress more effectively. The set of images and the associated questions explore some of the components of resilience, introducing the challenge to think about what it means and how resilience can be developed. They support discussions around how resilience can be used to enhance experiences rather than leading to ineffective or damaging behaviour. The cards are designed to be used to stimulate thought and discussion in individual coaching or in group work, whenever the learning objectives relate to personal, team and leadership development. They give focus to motivation, change management, stress management, and an exploration of the balance of work as a part of life. When you are at your most resilient, you are like what? Other questions that can be considered to ask are: what does it mean to be resilient? When do you need resilience? How do you think resilience can be developed? What are your current strategies? Which could you do more to develop? This is an interesting thought. At our worst times, we can become our best. Resilience is forged through adversity, not despite it.
EI for Change have a range of online learning courses based on emotional intelligence and resilience. Further information can be found at courses.eiforchange.info. There is a free course, Managing with Mindfulness, and a free book, Developing Your Emotional Intelligence. The authority guides are pocket-sized practical books for the busy business owner or business professional. Published in the Authority Guide series, each book has been written by an author who is an expert in their field and still working at the coalface of their specialism. I have 2 books published in the series, the Authority Guide to Emotional Resilience in Business and the Authority Guide to Behaviour in Business. These books are available in all good bookstores and on Amazon. To purchase both the Authority Guide to Emotional Resilience in Business and the Authority Guide to Behaviour in Business at special prices, visit eiforchange.com. The Images of Resilience toolbox develops coaching conversations around the experience of resilience. Each image has a range of suggested coaching questions to help explore in what situations you might need resilience and what qualities or skills you can develop to strengthen resilience. The standard toolbox contains 3 sets of the 18 different cartoon images with accompanying notes, designed to work within training workshops from 1 to 20 delegates. The Education Toolbox contains 6 sets of 18 different cartoon images with accompanying notes, designed to work with class sizes from 20 to 14 students. Please note, some images are different in this toolbox to be more relevant to teenagers. Feel free to connect with me and EI for Change across all major social media platforms.